Hello everyone, this is Gary from Fantastic Fundas, and in this lecture today we are going to know everything about the President of India. Okay, so first of all, basically this lecture, to be honest, this is about Union Executive. Now, Union Executive of India, it contains a few people, right? It has the president and the vice president. It has the council of ministers, the attorney general, and the comptroller auditor general of India. Okay, so in this lecture, I would be covering just the president, and rest of the part of the Union Executive would be covered in the next lecture. So that with that, our topic on Union Executive would be over. Okay. And yeah, by the way, what do you mean by union executive? Union, this means center. Okay, this is the central government, right? This is not the state. And executive is the part, is the wing of the government in India, which is actually executing, putting into action the everything, the law, the decisions. They implement laws, they formulate policies, they initiate the legislatures. Okay, so things like those, they maintain law and order. All these, this is the work of the executive, right? And formulating foreign policy and socio-economic measures, and I mean the policy making overall, and the day-to-day activities, everything about the executive is coming over here. Okay, now beginning with the President of India. First of all, we have article number 52. No, you do not have to remember all the article numbers, just the important ones would do. But if you can remember more article number, it's not bad, it's good, right? I've always said it. Someone even emailed me, okay, and someone asked this question somewhere else also, that whether we need to remember article numbers. No, you don't have to. Okay, with article numbers, without article number you will get 99 marks. With article numbers, you will get 99.5 marks. So people who really want to work for this half extra mark, they might have to learn article number. You can ignore it easily. Right. So we have article 52, article 52. ये क्या कहता है? It says there shall be president of India. भारत का राष्ट्रपति होना चाहिए. That's all. Okay, just a simple article, right? And then there is that means, but this also has significance. There has to be a president of India. That means India. There cannot be a situation when India doesn't have a president. There shall be a president of India because of this word in article 52, shall, right? Now, then comes article number 53, which is the executive power of the union. Okay, 53, if you see the Bear Act, it talks about the executive power of the union. Executive power of union. Now, because of this article, president is the head of the union, because article 53 reads the executive power of the union shall be vested in the president. That means the whole of the power, that means he's the supreme person. Okay, and this is exercised, this power is exercised by him, right? It is done directly by him. So how he discharges his duty, this is all as per article 53. But here onward, the articles are not important as such. I would urge you to remember article numbers of DPSPs and FRs and fundamental duties. Those are basic ones, and apart from this, few other important article. For example, you must remember the articles of the emergency, such things. But here you don't need to, right? So how the president would discharge his duty? He would do it directly by himself, or he would do it indirectly. That is, he would ask someone else to do that duty on his behalf. Okay, indirectly by somebody subordinate, right? But it doesn't prevent the parliament from assigning several functions to other authorities. I mean, if every executive power of the union is in the president, but it doesn't mean that the parliament cannot give this power to somebody else. Even they can. Okay, and then because of article 53 only, our president, he is the supreme commander of the forces. He is the head of all the forces, army, navy, air force. Okay, so he is the head, right? Supreme commander of the forces. All wars are taken in his name. Okay, such things happen. Okay, so and he alone actually, he can proclaim war, or he can proclaim peace officially, right? And then he can promulgate ordinances. We'll have a very long discussion in this lecture about promulgation of ordinances, because that is one of the legislative powers of the president. When we talk about the powers of the president, जब president की powers की बात करेंगे, तब हम इसके बारे में, promulgation के बारे में बात करेंगे. And then he can also promulgate 3 kinds of emergencies. We'll talk about emergencies also a little bit, not much detail here, because this is related to emergency chapter, which comes later on, right? Then our president, he is the highest constitutional dignitary. Okay, highest dignitary as per the constitution, right? In fact, there is a something called order of warrant of precedence. The warrant of precedence, under This what happens is, okay, let me just write it first. Warrant of precedence. Now, under this, there's a hierarchy of positions, right? Whenever there is some state function happening by the center of the state government, then how the dignitary sit, who sits at the center, who sits on the side, first row, second row, last row, all that, there's a standard protocol for that, and as per that, our president is the first dignitary, right? Now we shall have a president, and I also give that how is the supreme, right? The supreme in army, air force, navy, state function, central function, head of the union, executive. I mean, he is the head of everyone, right? But all the foreign policy decisions are taken in his name. War is there, peace is there, emergency is there. I mean, everything is by president. But let me ask you, how do you choose a president? Suppose you want to become, or I want to become the president of India. How do I become the president? I'll tell you what I'll have to do. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the topic of election of the president of India. Election of the president of India. Now, in this topic, first of all, I will explain to you that it is written in article number 54 that who shall be the part of the people who vote, right? There is something called the electoral college. Okay, what kind of college is it? Is it some IIT college? Okay, what is it? Some law college? What is it? So no, this is this is a college which consists of the people who elect the president. So basically, the people who vote for the president, they are together called as electoral college. Now, only the elected members can vote first of all while choosing president, and then out of these elected members, so who only thus either they should be member of the state legislative assembly or the Rajya Sabha or the Lok Sabha. So members of state legislative council, the who are MLCs, they cannot vote. MPs can vote and MLAs can vote, but not the MLCs. Okay, MLAs can vote, but these people over here, they cannot vote. Okay, now then also so arises an important issue over now. Election, how is the election of the president done, right? So according to Article 55, right? You don't have to remember article number. According to this article, the election of the president is done in accordance with the principle of the proportional representation. Okay, proportional representation, right? And this by it's not just proportional representation, it is by the means of a single transferable vote, right? Single transferable vote. Now please understand there are various ways of electing people. Okay, like in ordinary election, when we choose MPs or MLAs, the elections where you people might have voted sometime, right? So those are known as the straight voting system, or that is also known as the first past the post system, right? Or winner takes all system, right? In that, what happens that suppose there are like just the 100 votes, okay, and there are like 6 candidates, okay. Now whosoever gets the highest number of votes out of these 6 candidates, out of some votes go invalidate, and the highest votes a person got was 20 only, right? So the person with the 20 votes would be winner. Now obviously, right, this is much below the 50% mark. Okay, this is just 20, this is only 20%. So even this is a winner in FPTP, the first past the post system. That is a normal election system, right? No, this is not even simple majority of the votes polled, right? But in a presidential election, we have a majority of the votes cast, okay? Because see, there is a simple reason he has to have a majority of the votes cast, because he is representing the nation, okay? Now he's having the system of proportional representation. What do you understand by this? How is proportional representation system calculated? Actually, see what happens in proportional representation system. There is something which is called quota of votes. Okay, I'm talking about the proportional representation system here. So there is something called a quota of votes, right? And for this quota of votes, how the formula works, it says that if anyone who gets the particular quota of votes, that person is considered elected. Okay, what is the formula? The formula is the total number of the valid votes. Okay, total number of valid votes See, if you cannot put it in words, you can also write the formula in paper. That should be fine. And then if you divide this by the total number of seats, okay, total number of seats plus 1 and this whole thing plus 1, right? Then what do you, for example, if there are, suppose, 100 voters and the number of the seats are 4 only, so you plus 1 and then plus 1, okay, so this will make it 21. So anyone who gets above 21 votes will be elected, right? And how it is applied in the case of president, suppose there are 100 voters, okay, and president has only one seat, so what do? 1 and plus 1, right? You write it here, and then to whole you add 1, so that makes it 51, right? So anyone who is getting like above 50% vote, he is getting selected. So basically this is how we are applying the formula of proportional representation system here to the election of the president. Basically when we say proportional representation, essentially there is involvement of quota of votes in it, okay. Now, not only this, our election of the president, of Indian president, he is also, second thing that is followed in his election is the single transferable vote system. Now, what is the single transferable vote system? I'll also talk about it. Let me clear the screen for this. Okay, I'm talking to you about the single transferable vote system, STV. What is happening? Okay, now let me give you an example. Is how it goes. So suppose there is person A and there is B and C and D, right? There are just four people, okay, and what happens that each elector, each is having only one vote. Only each person is given only, each person can give just one vote, right? Here is the population, okay. This is the common citizen over here, right? And this is citizen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is how endless, like you have number of citizens over here, right? Now each citizen can give only one vote, okay, obviously, right? But then his vote is transferable, okay. How is vote transferable? He will say that, to Mr. A, I give, he will first choose his first preference of votes, okay. So these are the preferences over here which citizens are choosing, okay. There are citizens also 1, 2, 3 and n number of citizens, okay. So all these citizens put together, what do, right? Now they give let's say 10 votes to Mr. A and 11 to Mr. B and 12 and 13 over here. These are first preference vote. This number over here, this is a preference, okay, over here. The kind of preference that my first preference of my voting is this way, right? This is how these people are, and it's not just 6, right? Infinite number of people, they have voted this way. Now they said, okay, if my candidate is not elected, then my second preference vote is, suppose he says, this person says my second preference vote is to, I give it to B, right? Now B gets second preference votes also. Now, suppose this person, no one says that he is my second preference, or let's say 5 people say is my second preference, or 6 people and 7 people and 8 people over here, they say it's second preference, okay. So this is the second preference vote over here. Now in this election, what will happen? What is happening over here? Let's say that this is also 6, okay. Now this person loses because in the first round of election, what is happening? No one has got the 50% votes over here. It's just 11, 12 and 13, right? So this person is eliminated, right? So but now these people over here who there were 10 votes. So these 10 people, this particular 10 people, these are 10 people over here who are voting for A. Now these out of the you pick these 10 people, okay. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10. These are the 10 people who gave their first preference vote to Mr. A, but now A has lost, he cannot win. So out of these 10 people, each of them second preference vote would be chosen, okay. And how that would be chosen? This person's second preference vote, suppose it's to D, so this will go to D, so one vote will be added to D, okay. So that will become 1. Now this person also said to D, so this goes to D, right? And this person goes to let's say C, right? So for plus 1. So these 10 votes would be transferred to the votes of these 10 people would be transferred, but their second preference votes would be transferred to others, okay. I hope it's clear to you, right? For Hindi speaking people, I can clear it to you that मान लीजिए यहाँ पर 4 लोग हैं, इनको अलग अलग वोट पड़ी हैं, पहली सबकी प्रेफरेंस में हमने वोट दे दी, और दूसरी बात यहाँ पर है कि कोई भी व्यक्ति इलेक्शन नहीं जीत पाया, तो क्योंकि 50% कम से कम वोट चाहिए, फिर यू नीड एटलीस्ट 50% वोट्स, तो जो सबसे पहले वाला है उसको निकाल दिया जाएगा यहाँ पे, ठीक है जी, ये दिस मैन लूजेस। अब जो ये दीज 10 पीपल हु आर हियर, सी इवन दे आर वोटिंग, देयर वोट शुड नॉट गो वेस्ट। सो व्हाट वी डू, हम क्या करते हैं, इनकी जो दूसरी प्रेफरेंस वाली वोट थी वो हम बाकियों को देनी शुरू कर देते हैं, ठीक है जी। तो ये 10 लोग थे, पहला व्यक्ति कहता है मैंने दूसरी प्रेफरेंस डी को दी, तो इसकी एक वोट यहाँ पर ऐड हो जाती है। तो कुल मिला के इसकी जो मैंने आपको यहाँ पर 8 वोट दिखाई हैं वो यहीं से आई हैं। दीज आर द 8 वोट्स विच यू आर गेटिंग ओवर, दीज 8 वोट्स, ओके। तो ये ऐसा सिस्टम चल रहा है और ऐसा चलता जाएगा जब तक आपको कोई ऐसा यू टेल यू ना दिस विल कीप ऑन हैपनिंग, राइट, दिस ट्रांसफर ऑफ वोट्स और द सेकंड प्रेफरेंस, देन नोबडी गेट्स 50%, then you look for the third preference. So all this will keep on happening until you get a person who has got 50% vote. This is known as the system of the single transferable vote system. You have single vote only, these people are single vote, but it's a transferable vote. If their candidate is not elected, then their second preference is elected. This is how it is, okay. Now if I talk to you about India, in India there has been only one instance where a president was elected in the second round. Okay, his name is V.V. Giri, and he was elected in 1969. And for the people who are unable to remember this, I'll give you a formula. वो गिर के select हुआ. He got elected by falling. Girna is a Hindi word. Gir is not Giri. Okay, I'm just corrupting the word. Girna, and Giri means to fall. So gir ke select हुआ, man who got elected by falling again and again to the second round. With due respect to the President of India, I do not mean to insult him in any manner, okay, but this is how, just for the sake of remembering it, okay, but with due respect, right. So he gets elected this way, the only president to have got elected this way. And in India there has been just one president who's got elected unopposed. He was not even opposed. His name is Reddy, right, Sanjeeva Reddy. He was ready, just to remember, he was ready to go, okay, and that is how he got elected unopposed, and that was in year 1977. Anyway, right, now this is how the system is happening, right. And now I told you about the voting system, right, but then what is the value of a vote? Because in this election the people who are voting is MP and MLAs. And for example, like all the 500 MPs, let's say, vote for this, just the 500 MPs. So only 500 votes are will select the President of India. No, it is not so. They are the representative. So the vote of each MLA and MP carries certain value. What is that value? There is a very clear cut laid down formula in our constitution. And what is that formula? I'll tell you now. Okay, so what is the value of the vote of MLA, member of Legislative Assembly, right? Now you see, you must be very well aware of the member of the MLA of your constituency. That this question is often asked in interview. Anyway, so the formula is that the population of the state in the year 1971, and this is to be divided by the total number of elected, I'll just write it here for you, total number of elected MLAs. The word elected here is important, please remember this. This is the value of a particular state, okay. So the total number of elected MLA right, into thousand, let's say, rather I should be saying into 1 by 1000 to make it amply clear for the examiner, okay. So that this is how it is, right. Now further moving, now this is the value of a MLA's vote. What is the value of MP's vote? So value of member parliament's vote, okay. So what is this? This is this is equal to total value now of all the MLA's votes, okay, total value of votes of all the MLAs, and this does not include MLAs of state, right. This also includes MLAs of UTs also, right. There are two UTs from where the MLAs would be counted. One is Delhi and the other is Pondicherry, okay. So the state and the UTs also, right. Total value of all, and this is to be divided by the total number of seats of and total number of seats of MPs, okay. So this is how the value of the vote is calculated, right. So this is how it goes, right. Now I have like a question over here for you, and this question is that why, the question is about why is there indirect election? Why is the election of the president in India indirect? Why don't we have a direct election in such an important personality, such an important constitutional position holder? Why not? That is the question. So the first reason for having indirect election is because, see, whenever there is direct election, there is always a risk of it being a partisan election, okay, and we don't want this important post to be affected by a partisan policy of any manner. Okay, and because he will see the president then will have to represent some political party, and nowadays he is not actually representing any political party. Every individual fights election on his own. It's not the political parties that fight the election. Okay, and second thing is that because if he's directly elected, right, that's number one. Now if he's directly elected, he will say that since I'm directly elected, that means I have real powers, people have directly elected me. Okay, then he will look for more power, the president of India, and then he will have often the clashes with the council of ministers, right? And particularly, right, if the presidency and the council of ministers, they come from different parties, this will be more peculiar circumstance then. Okay, so the makers of our constitution chose a middle path, and in fact they chose this path of having indirect election. Okay, so these are the basic reasons, right, that we are having indirect system of election in India. Right now, after this, there's one more question that I would like to talk to you. It's the concept of conscious votes in the election of the president of India. What is this concept of conscious vote? It means see what happens that in so many cases it does happen that whenever voting is there, let me just draw the line here. Okay, and this one and this one, right? So whenever there is a election, right, so there the people vote, the MP MLA they vote. Okay, now they vote this vote, normally what happens, they vote on the party lines, right? For example, the Congress is there, the BJP is there, it will issue a whip. Okay, whip is normally, right, whip is the something with which a horse is controlled, horse is whipped. Okay, किसी को चाबुक से मारना, to hit someone with a whip. Okay, so that is how it is. So over here it's a representative term, it's a whip of the highest orders, right, of the Narendra Modi or of the Sonia Gandhi in Congress, that the party has to behave in this manner, or let's say Manmohan Singh at that time. Anyway, okay, so you ask the party to behave in a particular manner, but in the case of voting for president, each of the MP MLA, they need not follow the whip of the party, and they can vote the person whomsoever they want. Okay, and it need not adhere to what the party is saying. Okay, so this is how it is going on, right? And then second thing is about the being absent. Is it possible, because you see you are representing lakhs of voters, so is it possible that you go and say, no, I don't want to vote, no votes, so you refuse to vote? There has been actually one incident, right, before, like when the 13th of presidential elections were happening. It happened at that time. There was a demand by the political parties, they refuse after this thing that it should be made compulsory, because some of them that said that we do not want to vote, and some actually did not vote at that time, right? So election commission has held right, MPs and MLAs, they are free, as they can do as they want, right? And according to election commission, see, this election commission of India, right, this controls the elections in India. Anything related to elections is controlled by election commission of India. Now according to election commission, if you vote at election to the office of the president, it is not compulsory. It's not compulsory, similar to voting at elections to the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, right? Obviously there's no compulsion to vote there. There's a difference, right? Because and then the electoral right of the voter is there, right? He can refrain from voting, or he can choose to vote as per his choice. So every elector, same way, right? Because of these rights of the people, if in spite of the difference between the election of the president and the members of the Lok Sabha, the State Legislative Assembly, or the Rajya Sabha, right? There's a difference, and the member has a choice to vote, and because it is his free will. If he is the representative of the people, even in that case, it is his free will to not to vote. Okay, political parties cannot issue any kind of whip or any such thing, right? And elections, in fact, to the this office of president, it has been held by Supreme Court also, that the provisions of the 10th schedule, okay, 10th schedule of our constitution, 10th schedule, this is anti-defection law. I'll talk about this law. What is it? It just simply means that defect from the party, or in other words, where you go against the party, you leave the party for some other consideration. It actually all started with the whatever happened in Haryana, the policy of Ayaram and Giyaram. Okay, so what is happening that the MLAs there, what they would do is they would join a party in the morning and they'll join another party in the evening. So because of there was instability, and then because of that it was a threat to democracy. So this was made illegal. You cannot leave party like that, because it is unconstitutional after the 10th schedule, right? So but in the case of this thing, right, no, as per this you have to vote according to the party, right, according to 10th schedule. But in the case of the election commission, and various judgments and various interpretations, it has been held in the case of the election of the president, there is no need as such of applying schedule 10 in this respect. Okay, so that is how it is now. Not just this, right, election for the election of the president and vice president in India, there is something called as okay, I'll just write on the new page, what is known as the president and vice president election act. Okay, so in paper you have to write full forms. Don't write like this to, I'm just for the sake of speed I'm doing this, right? So president and vice president election 1952, it was there, right? So what was said in this will the secretary general, okay, secretary general of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, right? He functions as the returning officer. Who's the returning officer in these elections? It is the secretary general, right? Returning officer in these elections. Okay. Now then whosoever fights the election of president and vice president, they have to submit some basic security deposit, and this security deposit for the election of president is 15,000. And this is who keeps this money? This is kept with the RBI. Okay, and this money is forfeited if particular candidate does not win even 1/6 of the votes, right? And then to fight the election, there are few conditions. It's not that you and me can just go and fight the election. We can of course go, right? But then there are few other conditions that exist there, and under this act, right, president and vice president election 1952, that your name must be proposed by others. And how many other people? Then it should be greater than 50 or more electors should propose your name, right? And not just propose, right? Then another set of 50 electors, right? Another set of 50 electors should second this proposal. That means they should support this proposal. Okay, then only then you can file the papers after that, right? Only then you can do your nomination would be considered, right? And if any dispute arises as to the presidential, vice presidential election, then the only appeal possible is in the Supreme Court. Okay, only case you can file in Supreme Court, and not you can file the case. Only two people can do that. Either you should be an elector, that means MP or MLA. Okay, and at least if it is a case of MP MLA doing it, elector doing it, then at least 20 MP or MLAs should come together to file the case. And number two is about the candidate. Okay, I am suppose the candidate, then I can also file the case. I can dispute the election of the president. And then an elector, right? Any person, this person elector who's voting, even if he's subject to let's say preventive detention, hota rehta hai, because these people are many times corrupt people. So many times they are detained for various reasons, and sometimes the party in power, because of its anarchical nature, detains people. For example, during the 1970s decade, at the time of emergency, a lot of people were wrongly detained by the Indira Gandhi Congress government of that time, right? I'm not speaking in favor of any government. BJP has its own set of follies, okay? But my only point is just to give you an example, okay? Do not consider me partisan, right? I'm very neutral to these things, right? So anyone who is detained in preventive detention, that person can also send his vote for this purpose by the way of a postal ballot. Okay, so and once the president is elected, right, then he's got a fixed term. What is that term? I'll tell you now. The term of the election is first of all, he's elected for the 5 years, right? You become president, you enjoy the presidential house in Delhi for 5 years. I mean, I went there once, right? Just to see the president house. Okay, right? First of all, it's not clean, right? Number one, you go to the parts of it are very clean, right? And parts of it are actually not clean. That was really shocking. Government of India needs to run Swachh Bharat mission is a reception of the presidential house. That was like so ugly over there. So such a dirty filth, dust. over there. Anyway, right, it wasn't that extreme, but then it wasn't clean, right? Anyway, that was my experience there at the presidential house. And so what happens, right? And then there were, or if there is like if a person resigns, so his term would end earlier, so there is a case of resignation, right? And he obviously when he writes the resignation, he writes it to the vice president, okay? And then vice president communicates this thing to the speaker of the house, right? Speaker of the house has communicated that the president has resigned, and obviously then there are again proceedings for the next election, right? Or then there can also a term can end in between when there is the impeachment of the president, right? And for that is always for the violation of the constitution, that is under article 61. We'll talk about it. Someone even asked me what is the difference between impeachment and removal. Please remember, in India, only person who is impeached is the president of India. Others are removed from their post. India president is impeached, okay? And then there is one more thing, that the president of India, he continues to hold the post of the president till his successor is elected, okay? And even after the expiration of his term, he has to continue over there, okay? And then there is like another question over here which arises of the succession, actually, right? So I would just like to give you a very small detail about it. That is, the constitution actually doesn't provide for cases really where it doesn't go into detail where vacancy occurs, okay? Suppose when the president is not there, okay, so there is the vice president, right? And similarly, right, and the vice president also, but suppose vice president is also not there, right? So or he's acting vice, while the vice president he is acting as the president, okay? So in those cases, the things are not really clear, okay, in our constitution. The constitution has, therefore, it has empowered the parliament to make any law which for the discharge of the duties of the president, right? So for this reason only we got this, what is called as the President Discharge of Functions Act, okay? So President Discharge of Functions Act, okay? Yeah, it comes to your heart and then you make law out of everything. This is how they trouble us, huh? Anyway, right, this act came in 1969. This is how it goes, right? And under this, the Chief Justice of India holds the responsibility of discharges the duty, and even if Chief Justice of India is not there, then this duty is discharged by the senior most judge of the Supreme of the Supreme Court, okay? And in fact, there has been one example of this. I read this man's autobiography, very interesting one indeed, actually. So Giri, this was again the case of Giri. Giri has been a very, very interesting case, okay? VV Giri. Now, when he was he was actually vice president earlier on, okay, and he was acting as the president because Dr. Zakir Hussain, right, he was the president before that, as Dr. Zakir Hussain had died, right, and VV Giri was the vice president, right? And then and this person also resigned from his office. He was the vice president, right? So what happens in this case? The Chief Justice of India, Shri M. Hidayatullah, one of the great Chief Justices of India, right? M. Hidayatullah, he discharged the functions of the President of India. That is how it went, right? Obviously, he enjoyed all the privileges, rights and duties of the president at that time with us, okay? Now all this, we know how we can be the president of India, how we can become the president of India, right? Let's be one. But before that, you have to, first of all, I hope all of you listening, so to be president of India, you have to be citizen of India. Most of you will be citizen of India who are listening to my videos, okay? Right? So but interestingly, I'm getting responses from many countries, like what to say, so Gibraltar, Spain, and there was even a message came to me from Madagascar, anyway, right? Regarding the videos only, right? Now suppose you're a citizen of India only, then you can become the president of India, and you have to be 35 years of age. Before that, you cannot do that, right? Now you can aspire to be president of India by this age, right? And then you can qualified. You must be qualified for the election as an MP, member parliament of the Lok Sabha. So you must fulfill those qualifications, which are the qualifications of the person who is fighting the election of the Lok Sabha, okay? And then you must not hold office of profit. Right? What do you mean by office of profit? That you are holding any government position, okay? Position or authority, right, which is paying you money. And what kind of things I'm talking about? For example, any office of authority which is government of India ke under, right, or which is under the state government, right, such things, okay, or even which is something, even the local authority, okay, if you are having let's say if you are the commissioner, right, or if you are some panchayat member, right, even that is a local authority, right. So and number 4 is like, these are the conditions of office of profit. You should not be holding any of these positions, right. And see, but there is one difference I'll quickly remind you here. Whenever you have to fight the election of MP, right, to be an MP, you can be a member of a local authority, you can hold this office of profit. That is an exception in the case of member of parliament, okay. But for the president, you cannot be part of local authority also. And then there is another condition. So these are 4 conditions over here I have talked to you. Number 5 is the you should not be a proclaimed offender. What do you mean by a proclaimed offender? That you have committed some offense, a case was filed against you, you ran away, never came back, court says we proclaim you to be an offender, and whenever you are, police has got open power that they can arrest you and bring you to the court, okay. So this is how this goes, okay. So anyone, right, all the people can fight the election with these qualifications, okay. Now there are a list of few people who are eligible for presidentship, right, as they have like the same conditions, okay. They are like by default they have the same conditions. You and me may not be having same condition, right. But for example, I'm not a what is this, I'm not 35 years of age, okay. So I cannot fight elections at this age, at least, right. Maybe after a few years I would be doing that. Now now, but there are few people who are holding, who can actually fight the election of president. The president himself, the vice president, or the governor of the state, their qualification is such that they automatically qualify to fight the elections, okay. But even then they, the conditions on nomination which I talked earlier, they are not revoked, okay. Then after that, all the most of the ministers of the union, right, minister of union or the state, right, state legislative assembly, they have the except for that age difference, right. Age difference is huge, but otherwise most of the responsibilities, most of the things are same, right. And then there is one more default difference over here is of these people can be the member of the local authorities, okay. They can hold office of profit under local authorities, whereas the president cannot. So they will have to leave it, okay. And unlike USA, you all know that, there's a limit to be the number of times you can president in the United States, okay. In India, the condition is quite different, right. You can be the president of India any number of times, but nobody will let you live in that beautiful home of the president of India for so many long years, okay, more than 5 years, okay. Then when are the elections held? Now comes the question, okay. This is actually kind of continuation of the earlier story. So the time of the holding of the elections, let's talk about that time of the holding of the elections, right. This is in the article number 62, right, and this is done before the expiry of the term, okay. Suppose any president is about to be retired, right, somebody is getting retired at some time, so this thing is possible, right. So within like 6 months, right, elections are done. Or if somebody dies, right, and somebody resigns from his office, or somebody is impeached, and in those cases within 6 months from the date, right, elections are held, right. And these vacancies over here, they are filled up by till that time president come, as I told you, by the vice president and the chief justice of India, or the senior most judge of the Supreme Court, right. And then of course this is till the fresh elections are held, okay. So, and see, vice president is also there when the president is not able to discharge his functions, for many reasons he can be there, okay, sickness and others, and until the vice president takes over. So that is how it goes. And as I told you earlier, if there's any dispute, then obviously the decision of the Supreme Court is final, okay. And see, but then you cannot go to court on the basis that that this particular MP seat was vacant or MLA seat was vacant when the elections to the seat of the president were held, right. At the time of election, this particular seat was vacant, and thus not enough people, if this person had voted, the election result would have been different. No, it is not so, okay. So even if they are not there, this election cannot be held invalid on this basis, okay. And then even the okay tell me, let me ask you a question over here, right? Let's test you. Okay, tell me one thing. Suppose there is some state legislative assembly, like your state, let's say it is state of Madhya Pradesh, right? Now Madhya Pradesh state assembly dissolves, right? So after this, right, so would the people and the new government is yet to be appointed, okay? So would the state dissolved assembly, would they be eligible to vote in the election of the president? Will they be eligible to vote? Okay, if your answer is yes, then that's the correct answer. Yes, they would be able to do so. Why? I'll give you a logic, because it's a non-legislative function, right? They are not doing anything as the MLA, member of legislative assembly. I mean, they are doing that, but they are not framing any law. Of course, they are voting as MLAs only, okay? And let's suppose some election is there and Supreme Court just says that yeah, some mistake was committed and this person was wrongly elected, okay? So in that case, what happens, that whatever decisions have been taken so far, they do not become null and void as such, okay? They remain valid, right? And this is how it goes, okay? So now like there are few more conditions of the president office, okay, now can you be both a member of, can you be both MP and president together at one time? No, okay, you cannot be both. Both is not allowed. You have to resign from the either house of the parliament, right? And if you are a member, then you will have to resign, right? Okay, now next article is very interesting article. This is the oath of the president, right? Oath of the president. Okay, for this I would just request you to open the article number 60, right? If you have the Bare Act in front of you, even if you don't write, you can then listen to me here. Now, if you just have a look at the duties, the oath, I meant that in the given in the schedule number 3, those are quite different from the oaths given here, given of the president. Number 2 is that the oath of the president is so special, and therefore it is a little different oath from others. Okay, so he says that, you know, I, Gary, do solemnly affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of India and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect and defend the Constitution of India and law, and that I will devote myself to the service and the well-being of the people. Now I have a little work for you, right? I want you to read this particular oath, okay, of the President of India, Article 60, and then read the oaths given in the schedule number 3 of the Constitution, right? Kindly compare them, and then a question can be asked in your paper on the difference between this oath and the other's oath, okay? There's some very particular difference, okay, in this oath. You can do it for yourself, right? Now after this, you know, I would like to talk to you about the impeachment of the process, right? Okay, now you want to become the president, right? And I also want to become the president, but I will remove you from your office. How will I do that? I will impeach you. Okay, let me tell you how will I impeach you. This is given under article number 61. Yeah, this article you have to remember is pretty simple one, right? First of all, you know, you need to understand one thing, that this impeachment process of the president is a judicial process, okay? Though it is not being done by the judiciary exactly, but then it is a judicial process, right? And the difference between impeachment and the removal will be clear to you by the time this discussion on impeachment ends, right? So only the president gets impeached, okay, and the rest all are removed, right? Okay, let me just tell you now only, right? This is impeachment, this is removal. Okay, first of all, if there's a okay, let me just draw these lines properly. First, right, number one is what is it, right? The kind of process, the kind, right? Okay, the formal, this is like highly formal process, this is less formal process, right? And then the kind of act it is, okay, this is judicial act and this is an executive act, the removal over here, right? And then, you know, the kind of majority involved in the removal of the president is the 2/3 of the total membership of the house. Over here it is, in the removal it is the 2/3 of the present and voting, okay? That is the major difference, right, between this removal and impeachment. And this is and for whom it is done, okay, this is done, the impeachment is done only for the president of India, and for whom the rest of the thing, this removal for many other people, okay, UPSC chairman and all that stuff. We'll talk about that, right? Now coming back to the process of removal, how is the removal done, right? So first of all, there is one primary condition for the removal of the president, and that is, what is that condition? He must have he must have done violation of constitution, okay, and it is for the parliament to decide whether the constitution has been violated or not. But he must have done this violation of the Constitution of India. This is how it goes, right? And to impeach, see, first thing is that it's a political determination, right, whether there's been a violation or not. And then after that there is a resolution is passed. Okay, it can be initiated in the Lok Sabha, this impeachment process, or it can be started in the Rajya Sabha. कहीं एक जगह शुरू कर सकते हैं आप इस प्रोसेस को. ओके, और this resolution, जो ये resolution है कहीं भी एक जगह जब शुरू होता है, जब लेकिन when it is introduced, okay, now suppose I have to remove you as the president, what will I do? I will introduce a resolution for your removal, for your impeachment rather. And for your impeachment I will be, when I introduced, at least 1/4 of the members of the house should support me. Okay, initially only, this is so that the process has been made little difficult. Okay, and then a notice is given, and then only after I have given this notice of moving the resolution, right, and then 14 days have passed, and after the issuance of notice to the president, so 14 days after notice has been given to the president, from that day the proceeding will start. Okay, and then this is the parliament, the Lok Sabha, the Rajya Sabha, where the proceeding started. Let's say it started in Lok Sabha. Okay, let's suppose then 2/3 majority of the total, okay, this is very very unique kind of majority, 2/3 of the total strength of the house, they must vote in support of the removal of the president. Then the same resolution, it goes to the other house. In this case we have taken example, it goes to Rajya Sabha. It can go to Rajya Sabha first and then Lok Sabha. Wherever it's the second house, that house then this house will investigate the charge. Over here the investigation of the charge will be done, that whatever is being said is true or not, right? President can of course defend himself. He has a right to have a lawyer of his own choice, right? And after that if there is, once the investigation is done, and then this house also passes with the 2/3 of the total strength of the house, then the president stands impeached and you are removed, and then I will become the president of India. This is how it will be. Okay, but this process in itself, right, there are few weaknesses in this process. I'll tell you what are those weaknesses. I hope you have seen these weaknesses by now. If you have not seen, I'll tell you. Number one, right, it says it should be the violation of the constitution. Number one thing is this over here, right? Let me change the color so that it's clearly visible. This is number one. So number one is that violation of constitution. Now what do you understand by it? It's a very very vague term, right? Very difficult to define, right? Number two, in this process, as I said, that 2/3 of the total of the first Lok Sabha and then Rajya Sabha. What about MLAs? MLAs choose the president, but they have no role in removal of the president. Okay, they are part of the electoral college for the president, but not in his removal, right? Number three, okay, it is not clearly laid down in the constitution what is the procedure of the removal of the impeachment of the president. Who is the authority for final authority in that determination, for that determination. Number four is कोई टाइम पीरियड नहीं बताया गया. व्हाट इज द टाइम, कब प्रेसिडेंट को रिमूव किया जाए, नहीं बताया. तो चार चीजें पे वेग है. वायलेशन ऑफ संविधान हमारा वायलेट हुआ. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय, इसका मतलब क्या है? नोबडी इज रियली क्लियर. ओके, सो दीज आर द बेसिक थिंग्स अबाउट द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया. Okay, so this was about the president. Now this lecture has got quite long, so I will not be able to cover president in this lecture alone. And the next lecture also will be on the president. In that I will talk to you about the presidential privileges. Okay, this E should not be there, right? You know the spelling, right? The presidential privileges. And number two is I'll talk to you about all the powers of the president, right? His legislative power, ordinance making power, his veto power, and then his military, administrative, judicial powers, all those things, emergency, financial, diplomatic, and even the discretionary powers of the president. I'll talk to you. And number three, next lecture I'll be talking to you is again about the president. What is the importance of the president of India? Is he just a titular head? That is the question that I'd like to answer, in the next lecture, right? So this was like enough for the president in this lecture. So that was all about today's lecture, and now just wanted to make two very important announcements. And the first thing is that I just wanted to thank you all whosoever you have shared my videos on various social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, everywhere. Thank you so much from my heart, and it is my humble request that you please keep on sharing this video in future also. जिन्होंने आज तक नहीं share की, if you really like the video, it's my humble request, please share it with others. That gives me encouragement to make better videos and ज़्यादा videos, and I can cover ज़्यादा subject अगर आप इस video को share करते हैं. And second thing is, that this is for your own benefit. If you really like these videos and you want that updates about the new videos should come into your mailbox, you can subscribe to us. You can see the subscribe button over here. You can click on us and videos will come right into your email box. आप हमें सब्सक्राइब कर सकते हैं. अगर ऐसा करते हैं तो वीडियोस डायरेक्टली आपके मेल बॉक्स में आ जाएंगी. बस इतना ही कहना है. दैट इज़ ऑल एंड थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग द वीडियोज़.